Hey guys, Bandit here, and today I'm going to be going over the top 5 individuals, in my opinion, that most broke Survivor. From outplaying seasonal themes to general rules, we'll see who warped the game of blurred lines in their favour. And just so that we're on the same page as well, by breaking the game, these individuals must have realised something production hadn't fully looked over or expected, and thus exploited it. Because of this requirement, things like the tied vote in Borneo at the final four won't count, since the contestants really could have tested production by further exploiting no final four tiebreaker and continuously voted for the opposite party. Anyway, that's it for me. I hope that you understand the rules and enjoy this video. And let's just get into this top 5 list.
At number 5, we have OZZY LUSTH and his Redemption Island game. And although he didn't completely break Survivor, he definitely exploited many factors of the season. Firstly, OZZY is a challenge beast. Everyone knows this. He won 5 immunity challenges in Cook Islands and still was in great shape even 5 years later. He also was only one of 2 returnees, with the man himself using all that experience of rowing on a kayak, a Benjamin Coach Wade. Still, Coach wasn't known for his immunity wins or his challenge performance. This led to OZZY's second advantage of being automatically one of the fittest members of the cast, but also with 2 seasons of experience under his belt, meaning he would have a higher probability of winning returning challenges from seasons 13 or 16. He also just naturally had better knowledge of challenges that weren't necessarily the same, but similar to the ones he experienced. For instance, he never before held 2 poles on the backs of his hands and stapled against planks of wood, but he knows the importance of grip when holding onto a pole in the air for 2 hours in Cook Islands. Needless to say, OZZY had a huge advantage in challenges, and when Redemption Island was announced in South Pacific, because everyone loved the season prior, this began the part of the video where I believe OZZY truly broke the game. Christine was an ex-member of what had become the Coach cult and was beasting challenges on Redemption Island. With Savai, OZZY's tribe losing the final challenge before the merge, someone had to be sent out to guaranteed beat her. If not, the opposing tribe had 7-5 numbers come the merge and Savai would get pagonged. Which they did, but that's a whole boat ride on Exile 11 seasons later and far too many details. OZZY wanted the tribes to be 6-6, so his tribe had the best shot of coming out on top come the merge. Because of that, he literally asked his tribe to vote him out of the game. So they did, and on purpose, OZZY was sent to Redemption Island where he expectedly beat Christine. It was a really great plan that I believe production really hadn't thought of. Redemption Island, as the name suggests, is to find redemption in being voted out, often a blindside to the player, but OZZY purposefully got voted out to help his tribe gain the numbers they really needed come the merge. OZZY had made it to the merge already, breaking the game, and that was only the tip of the iceberg. When Cochrane flipped and OZZY was voted out directly after Keith, OZZY began to further break the game. He was now voted out twice, but was still technically in the game, and this was when OZZY created his Pleasure Dome. Redemption Island was OZZY's personal space where he brought people in, took care of them, and then beat their ass in a duel head to head. He had no blood on his hands, and he had to vote nobody out and was caring for individuals, often heartbroken and annoyed. OZZY was still in the game, communicating with the eventual jury in a very positive manner, and yet nobody still in the game could actually remove him. He was literally farming jury votes on Redemption Island by always getting the last word in with the eventual jury. A positive and impactful one, which would have resulted in him being the odds-on favourite to get their vote easily. People had respect for him like no other, and all people in the game could do was wait, grimace, and watch as OZZY was untouchable to them. He couldn't be removed until Redemption Island ended at the final 5. OZZY won his way back into the game again and was voted out the final 4. He is the only Survivor player in US history to be voted out 3 times in one season and was one immunity challenge away from winning in an even more controversial way than Chris Underwood. OZZY was being rewarded for being voted out, and if I had to guess, he nearly wins unanimously if at the end he's with, say, Coach and Sophie. He lies here at number 5, completely outsmarting the game and breaking Redemption Island irreplaceably, in my opinion, as a result. Number 4 isn't necessarily one person on their own, but it's the final 6 of Survivor Game Changers. More importantly, the tribal council of that season, which is now be dubbed by the general fan base as Advantage Geddon. This was season 34, and it was around the era in Survivor where they just threw crap at the wall and saw what stuck essentially. New things are being constantly introduced, like extra votes, steal a vote, remove a juror, and everyone's favourite, the reward stealer. Wait, that was a thing? And this season there was an extreme amount of idols. In fact, 3 were in circulation at one time with a legacy advantage. Production likely assumed people would play their idols come merge, as had come to be expected in most Survivor seasons. But nope. Literally after the Malcolm boot, nobody played an idol, which was like 9 tribal councils, and so come the final 6, with Brad Culpepper winning immunity, 3 idols in play, and a legacy advantage granting immunity to Sarah. You can see where I'm going with this. And it's not pretty. 3 was eliminated due to Ty playing both his idols on himself and Aubrey, followed by Troyzan playing his idol, followed by Sarah playing her legacy advantage. To make matters worse, Suri literally received no votes at that tribal council. It was so bad, many people complained about the advantages in Survivor and created a wave of people wanting Survivor to be like, in quotation marks, in the olden days, with only maybe 2 or 3 idols maximum and nothing else. Production of course refused, but acknowledged this was a completely ridiculous event to potentially let happen, let alone actually happen. Since the season was filmed to the public, the next available season, season 36 Ghost Island, introduced timed idols that could only be played earlier into the season, lessening the risk of Advantage Geddon. The prospect of someone being eliminated by not having an idol, when you take into consideration the sole purpose of the game is based on voting someone out at its core, in its mechanics, and it stings. Ty, Troyzan, and Sarah all broke season 34 in terms of the amount of advantages being played together at once. Never has such an incident happened, and hopefully it never will in the future. At number 3, we have a case probably people wouldn't expect, but it's actually Mike from One World. In earlier seasons, it wasn't all about flinging items off a boat and trying to twist Kent's leg. Typically, a small reward challenge would start the season off, but One World had it so people could take items from the nearby area, whether that be on a truck or on the ground. They then could put it on the ground, where their mat was located, and claim it as their own. Jeff failed to mention, however, that they cannot take items from each other. To begin the marooning, both tribes obviously ran out to grab the items scattered on the ground, bananas, pre-cut timber, anything really. That was until about halfway through when the ladies were gathering more items, and Mike just decided to ignore the items on the ground and began stealing items from the women. Jeff obviously tried to warn the women about the items on the mat, but they were far too distracted. For the remainder of the challenge, Mike solely stole items from the women to increase the stash to the men. He stole many items, and it hurt because they were draining themselves with their hard work, and he was creating the most efficient system in regards to game theory for the challenge in the process. Not only was he increasing the items the men owned, but took from the opposing tribe the women. This created a 2-item differential in one move, which was twice what taking an item elsewhere on the ground in the environment would cause. The women lost many items they deserved because Mike broke the game. Weirdest thing I find about this is that if both tribes react to the challenge like Mike, then the game is very uneventful, turning into a game of chicken almost. If one tribe runs out to get an item and put it on their mat, they're wasting energy and then need to defend their mat from the onslaught of the opposing tribe coming to take that item and put it on their mat. Because again, game theory. I genuinely think this was another result production didn't consider, and Mike was fully justified in abusing the system. If everyone stole from each other, it would be carnage with people stealing from one another, fighting, brawling, and with all the men better at these aspects due to having better natural strength, and this obviously being a male versus female season, the males would have been too overwhelming to the females if the marooning phase turned into a brawl like I was theorizing, and stealing, which further makes me think stealing was simply something Jeff forgot to state and cost the females. Congratulations to Mike for thinking outside the box and stealing many much needed essentials. It's no surprise following this season the tribe were put onto boats and rafts or in Millennials vs Generation X land, but they specifically couldn't steal from one another and also had challenges put in place so that they could only take one item from a specific table, thus causing the tribe to have some sort of division in regards to the items that they had, and again, they couldn't take from one another.
At number 2, we have an old season, a big surprise. And then this comes from the pre-merge of Survivor Season 3 Africa. Now, as explained previously, production found problems in Season 1 when trying to settle tied votes. The final four on Borneo could have unknowingly locked themselves into a situation where nobody ever actually was voted out. Because of this, and as we saw in Survivor Australia, taking into consideration past votes was the tiebreaker. If a better past member of your tribe voted for you, it would come back to bite you. And it bit Jeff Varner quite hard, ironically as he bit into a peanut butter apple. I mean, it could be worse though, you know. He could, I don't know, also out someone as a transgender person. Well, not on this season anyway. No, Jeff was eliminated due to having more past votes than the opposing side's member, and the tribe was then pagonged into oblivion. Thanks, Kimmy. But all jokes aside, this was the best case scenario for production. The technique worked well and settled awkward tied votes at a merge, and down the line, it was great. Until Survivor Africa introduced a twist. In this twist, a tribe swap happened, flipping both tribes and putting them into a state of two entities of six. On one tribe, Tom, Lex, and Kelly opposed the other three of the original opposing tribe members in Lindsay, Brandon, and Kim P. When the tribe lost the challenge immunity-based Kim Johnson communicated to the tribe Lindsay had received past votes, and already this interaction after the challenge is murky waters in the Survivor rulebook. Lindsay was eliminated due to simply having votes cast against her, some by people not even in the game anymore, and this was an issue. The past vote scheme just made people on the bottom in regards to numbers even further on the bottom, as the tribe that lost more had more people with more votes cast against them, and makes it harder to flip individuals, especially at a potential tied vote. Anyway, Lindsay was eliminated and resulted in events such as Brandon having to alienate himself from Kim to protect himself, thus weakening Samburu overall, and was a very strong reasoning for the merge being 64 in the original Boran's favour, and all because past votes counted. I think it's also a testament to how much Kim P, Tom, Lex, and Kelly collectively broke the game, as past votes never was a tiebreaker after that, and instead was replaced by the more commonly known rocks nowadays. At number 1, we have Tina Wesson in Survivor Australia. Now, although this does take into consideration past votes again into how Tina broke the game, there is a more predominant factor. In Survivor, there are subtle editing tricks to fool casual viewers. For instance, when a group of people are seen walking towards tribal across the beach with their torches in their hands, they are not walking directly to tribal. Instead, they are walking to a truck that will collect them, and they will be driven to the tribal council area, and they will be monitored for not talking until they get to tribal council. We've even seen this in modern day events such as Winners at War, where after show reports have shown contestants signaling the vote to one another, such as the Ethan Zahn blindside. At least in the Ethan blindside, chats had begun a camp as to voting him off, and it was only making sure everyone was okay for it on the trip, and also at least they got content of it back at camp. Tina went one step above and beyond, however. The tribe agreed to vote out Keith, but Tina liked Keith. As long as Keith was around, she would be safe because without Keith, she would be the next to go had the tribe lost the next immunity challenge. Plus, Keith was a really good chef and he was useful around camp despite getting sick at certain occasions. Because of this, Tina devised a plan on the way to tribal council with Colby and Keith about how to get out Mitchell. Keith agreed, obviously, and Colby hated Jerry, so that was another obvious recruit. At Tribal, Tina's last minute effort paid off. The vote tied 3-3, and Mitchell was eliminated from the game because he had a single vote cast against him prior by another player. Tina fully outplayed production in this instance, and it's no surprise they cracked down harder on making sure people don't talk on the way to tribal after that. I can't really understate how good Tina's plan was. By plotting in an area she wasn't allowed to plot, she allowed herself more time and the ability to strategize with individuals, while the others, like they were supposed to do, did just nothing in regards to strategy. She perfectly outplayed Amber, Jerry, and production, and it's this move that I strongly feel helped her win the game far easier. She lies here at number 1, completely breaking the game to aid her win. That is it for the top 5 rankings. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like and a comment. I'd really appreciate it. If you'd like also to check out the content on my channel, whether that be through some links I provided in the description or just by browsing through the channel, that would also help out a lot. And hey, if you like the way things look, consider dropping a subscription. Every sub to this channel does help me out so much. Anyway, I've been Bandit. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and peace!